So welcome to this ROV chat on the power of stillness into pure awareness and energy awareness. So I invited Stephen to read a post that he created this week about the power of stillness. So we're going to begin with that. Stephen?
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you, and love and blessings to everybody. So I was contemplating over dinner one night just the simple power of silence and the real power in being silent. And as I was in that silence, as you are now, when you listen to the gaps in my words, when we're silent, simply by staying in this place, simply by staying in this place of silence, of being, when we're conscious of it. So if you're very conscious of the silence and stillness, conscious of looking and feeling, simply being awareness. There's no doing, there's no undoing, there's no meditation or non-meditation. So our attention no longer goes out to where the mind's habits are stronger, like, for example, seeing. So if you're listening, look above your computer screen. So instead of seeing the objects, then we don't grasp for them. We simply settle in this space of awareness, this silence. When we settle into that immeasurable, vast and limitless being that is silence, the stillness, and the space of our being, that's all that's experienced. This silence, this stillness, this space of being. There's a sense of relief, of letting go, of being home. That relief is immense. It's very subtle, like a subtle joy or delight. So there's a great power in staying with being, and being this silence and this stillness, this immeasurable warmth or delight or love or peace. So we're not going out looking for it. We're not looking for anything, because we are that we seek. We are that we seek. We are that stillness, right? Because when you're still and silent, you are still and silent. That is awareness. That is pure awareness. When you are that warmth or that joy, you are that warmth. You are that joy. And we've gone back prior to thought. Primordial nature, pre-conceptual nature of being. It's here now. You can speak in it. You can move in it, because there is only now, here, in this presence. So you stay as this presence, this awareness, and you allow thoughts, feelings, perceptions, actions, reactions to take place in presence without getting involved. They're like clouds. They just arise, they abide, they dissolve. Be still and know stability, wisdom, or the eternal nature of God's presence in your heart, right? It's like dropping into your heart. This awareness, this presence awareness, self-awareness, love awareness, compassion awareness, not object awareness. So that was my realization. It was very simple. And it's still here. And it stays. So Kevin, what did that bring to heart or mind? And there were a number of questions, I know, too, that were in that post that we were going to share.
Yeah. First, what the words that just struck me at that moment when you were reading and guiding us in that were prior to thought. So I think that's a big one, especially for this culture we live in where there's so much thinking, so much conceptualizing, so much visual information that we're taking in. We're processing a lot of information, and there's a tendency to always be thinking about something and to be very identified with thought, and not even to know this possibility of prior to thought. So, and that's such a relief, like you said, it's such a relief to sit in this space prior to thought, and it's a space I like to sit in most of the time. And but in the comments underneath, there was one comment about how challenging that can be, that to not be identified with thoughts, and that is. And then there was another comment on the difference between this silent, pure awareness and spacious awareness. And we relate those to each other through the idea of doing an energy, a concentration practice as a way to allow thinking to recede to the background, right? So as we do these energizing practices at the within our meditation practice to absorb in the feeling of energy and the feeling of spacious awareness, and we discover this luminous space that just draws the mind in and is so compelling that the mind becomes absorbed in the feeling, and thinking just naturally quiets. And that's such a beautiful relief.
I totally agree. I think and feel that we so often solidify our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. We cling on to them, we make them our reason for living, we connect to thoughts presuming they're real. And I think that construction of our thoughts, we don't realize that the only thing we need to remove is the one that's not real, the whole illusory self that's given rise to this moving out towards thought. And I do think as you do any kind of energization exercises or exercises that help liberate you from this way of making thoughts so real in our practice, that's really an incredible help. I mean, we know there are people listening to us who, for example, go on a walk. Now, a walk can easily be seen as a simple way of doing an energization. You're moving the body. And I know a lot of people who have shared with me the value that they find of going out and walking in nature, and the thoughts subside. The part of us that is perceived, felt, and thought and made all that very real starts to subside. We move the body. We're attached in so many ways to the body, the physical body, and the concepts, the mental concepts. So we've constructed an identity around believing we are this and believing we're this. And so the moment that you start to liberate that through some really simple practices, and we've often spoken about them, getting up first thing in the morning with that first thought of knowing that we are pure awareness. And then both of us, Kevin, and I know a lot of people listening do the same thing. We do a lot of energization exercises, and that helps us to move this energy and consciousness through the body. Going out for a walk in nature helps liberate you into that feeling of awareness being not local. Local awareness is part of it. Identity is part of it. You need to understand the identity that has all this construct and thought and feeling and perception. It does have a place. We do use it at different times, so long as we're aware that we're the actor in the play. And then you come into a state of local awareness where you're much more aware of where awareness is. And then you can move out into spacious awareness where you just simply are the space of awareness, or you are the awareness itself. And I do think that the power of energy, of liberating, of raising energy, of moving energy, whether it's on your walk in the morning, whether it's through yoga postures, whether it's through using concentration of energy within the subtle body, within the subtle energy body. They're all ways of moving you through and into this awareness of awareness itself. And I do, certainly from experience, I found that once you realize that there's only one thing that you need to remove ultimately, and that is the identity or the narrative self, once you're aware of that chatter that gives rise to these solid, heavy thoughts and the feelings that seem so real and so heavy and so dense, then once you see the unreality of that, and that's often through seeing into the nature of mind itself, you see the awareness liberated in every single thought. The thoughts no longer have such density. When you've done practices such as energization, such as a walk in the morning, to experience this vast openness of awareness, then it's often much easier on a very practical level for you no longer to have this sense that I'm this person as something separate. You're no longer seeing that as being a reality. You kind of let go of the illusion that you've produced, and that's connected to us, and it vanishes and it doesn't bother you. So in a way, there's just one thing to see through, and that is the illusion of the self, and it's often tied in with the illusion of the body and the physical body, and it's also tied in with the illusion of these mental constructs and ideas. So quite often the scan of the body to see if there is an identity defined, and then the scan of the mental concepts to see if there is an identity defined, helps you to liberate awareness itself. And it often comes once you have done some very simple grounding in powerful energy practices, which is why when you look at a lot of the ancient traditions, no matter whether it's Tibetan traditions, Taoism, Christian mystical practices, and so on, there's often a very strong emphasis on whether it's devotion and prayer, or movement and energy exercises, or liberating yourself through freedom of expression in the mountains on retreat, and which is a practice called Rushin and Dzogchen teachings. Like there is, in many different forms, there are these energy exercises that practitioners have used over hundreds, if not thousands of years to liberate awareness. So that's kind of one of the insights that I connect to certainly the practices that we're teaching, which is about subtle energy and raising vibration, and the importance of that in then being able to access the still, silent, spacious awareness, as we've noticed in the practices that we've done over over the number of years that we've been doing this together and also independently.
Yeah, I think that insight about absorption in energy as a portal to the deeper stillness and to a brightness of attention, a brightness of awareness first, before then diving deeper into that stillness and silence, and that line between being in the manifest and non-being and the unmanifest, and kind of being able to sit on that border and just notice what arises into being and dissolves back into non-being, and just sitting in that. Martin Heidegger said it's like sitting on the fence, and on one side is the void, and on the other side is everything that's come into creation. And you're kind of sitting there and you're witnessing the very subtle arising of thoughts and feelings and sensations, and then the dissolving back into non-being. And it's very subtle, a subtle awareness that happens from tuning into the body, generating energy, becoming absorbed, and really paying close attention to the very subtlest movements within consciousness, and the letting go of those movements, so there's a resting in being.
I think that's beautifully said, Kevin. The absorption is really crucial experientially, because I think when you experientially verify in your heart through absorption, through basic concentration and absorption into the stillness, that this awareness that is underlying everything is actually your truth, is actually where you are living from. And I think you do that through, that's the value of practice. I think the value of practice does bring here and now this deepening level of absorption that you get through customizing, knowing, being that space of awareness. And then all those illusions that you've previously put as being so important, your social media, the news, the distractions, everybody else's opinions, they start to fall away and vanish. They find their proper position, as it were. You're no longer in a belief that you are the body, because as you've absorbed the body itself, or the awareness, the sensations of the body actually drop away. So that's verified experientially that you can't find the body. And then as you keep absorbing and you keep letting go, and in this deeper and deeper absorption, you even search for thoughts and you can't find them. You can't find thoughts that are substantial. In fact, the awareness itself begins to guide and move the experience itself. So there's this freedom that comes about, because Kevin, you alluded to it before when you were saying about that sense of relief when all of this drops away. I think our society is so connected to accumulating and possessing and grasping, or having aversions to things, or being completely ignorant of those ways that we have created as habits, that suddenly in this these deeper levels of absorption, all of that is stripped away, and the suffering that felt so real is no longer there. There's no longer thoughts or feelings or perceptions that have any substantiality. So those deepening levels of absorption often open to one very simple experience of awareness, which could be beauty or joy or space or peace or love or compassion. So I think as you go deeper and deeper into that, that becomes more and more a living experience. And there is almost a flip to the way that you perceive the world. And instead of perceiving the world from this identity where thoughts are heavy and feelings are strongly weighing you down, instead of that, those thoughts and feelings in that very awareness that you're awakened are liberated. And by liberated, they actually feel transparent. They feel light. They no longer have anything for you to grasp onto. And they
have the weight of identity.
There's not the weight of it. Perfectly said. That's exactly right. So I think that really touches the heart. Experientially, that's what happens in the heart. It's like the identity drops away, the mind with its concepts drops down into this heart. The heart opens up to boundless awareness. The awareness is spacious, is still, is silent. And you can verify that experientially, and you become the only conclusion you can really make is that that is all you're ever in contact with, is that stillness and silence and spacious awareness. All you're ever in contact with is, and it's indivisible. There's no inside and outside. When we're speaking, there's no separation from me to you to everybody else out there. There is just this inclusiveness of no inside, no outside, one taste, one essence. There is that understanding that there is no longer an identity guiding, creating, doing things, but there is in fact awareness that is guiding the experience itself.
By its nature, it's non-conceptual, it's non-dual, because concepts divide, they create things, and then we identify with those things. When this flip happens, there's no longer that, as you said, inside, outside, this, that, me, other. There's just awareness. And you are that.
You are that. Kevin, thank you. I think that's a beautiful place to begin. You are that. I think if there was a simple thing people listening could do, and as they wake, is just you are that. Wake up with that beautiful thought. You are that pure awareness. You are that loving, infinite space of awareness.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for the chat.
Thank you, Kevin. What a beautiful chat. I'm truly blessed always by your presence in my life. So thank you, truly.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching and listening, and thank you for your practice. We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.